Well, hello there, and welcome back to For Me, a podcast about navigating life's twists and turns, exploring personal growth, and having a little festive fun along the way. Merry Christmas. I'm your host, LJ, and this is our second episode. So if you're just joining us for the first time, welcome. And if you're back for more, thank you for sticking around. This podcast is all about sharing the lessons I've learned, the stories I'm living, and the moments that make me stop and say, wait, what does this mean for me? Whether it's relationships, career transitions, tarot insights, or just figuring out how to survive another chaotic holiday season, we've got you covered. We're living deep and keeping it real. So grab your favorite drink, find a cozy spot, and let's get into it. Okay, let's set the scene. It's the holidays, duh. And whether you're blasting Mariah Carey on repeat, stress wrapping gifts at midnight, or just trying to survive your fifth viewing of Elf. By the way, I don't really love Elf, but whatever. This season has a vibe, and I don't know about you, but there's something about December that still feels a little magical. The lights, the cookies, the chaos of the mall on Christmas Eve. I can't tell you the last time I've actually been to a mall. I don't know about you. But regardless, this time of year makes me want to believe in something. It feels like anything is possible, and it truly is. There are so many romantic and cozy moments just waiting to happen. Maybe a snowstorm cancels plans and you have to hunker down with your love. Not in South Florida, but maybe where you're at. A secret admirer who finally pops into your DMs and asks what you're doing New Year's. Or maybe just a kava bar moment where the kava tender remembers your name and your order. But let's be real. The holidays aren't all peppermint mocha and tinsel. They can be very messy, and they can be lonely, and they can bring up a lot of, what am I doing with my life moments? And that's okay. Today, we're going to talk about all of it. The joy, the heartbreak, the hope, and how to really make this season your own no matter where you're starting. So I actually have kava in here from Black Clover. Shout out to Black Clover. And I've got hot chocolate. So I'm actually sweating my butt off because there's hot chocolate and I'm in this another sweater thing, but I'm being festive for you. And I know that you love festivity. Speaking of festivity, look at my Christmas nails. I have them done on Friday. You know, in terms of like my levels of gay, this is probably one of those levels where I just every once in a while love to get my nails done. It's fun and it's festive. It adds a little pop of color and I own it and I'm proud of it. So the holidays this year, I don't know about you guys, but this is my first year that I am spending my holidays, quote unquote, alone. This is the first time in 5 years, actually probably the first time my entire life that I'm not with either a boyfriend or my family. One of them's by choice. One of them is not. It's really tough with your families around the holidays, and it causes a lot of unnecessary struggle and drama. I just decided this year I don't really want anything to do with that. It's hard because when you get back together with your family, it's like you get cast again as a child, or you get back into the relationship dynamics when you were a child, and it just ain't the tea. It ain't the hot chocolate. I think it's tough because sometimes it's almost like your family doesn't really want to know you and doesn't really want to understand your perspective on things. And it can be really challenging. I've talked to so many people about it. They're like, yeah, I really don't want to go home for Christmas. It really stinks because I wish this was a world where our relationships with our family weren't so dicey. But you know what? I think our generation in particular, the millennials, it's like we're breaking a lot of generational trauma that our parents' generation was passed down to. And now it's like, all right, let's move on. And then sometimes what that means is that you just take a step back and you don't engage. And that can be very good for your mental health because you don't get into unnecessary spats or you don't let things bother you that wouldn't normally bother you, but because it's your mom or your sister, it gets under your skin. And it's like, girl, this is Christmas and I'm trying to have a good time. I'm trying to feel the love, feel the joy, feel the peace. So that's my decision this year. What about you guys? Are you going home for Christmas? Are you happy that you're not seeing your family for Christmas? Are you having mixed feelings about it? It can be very mixed, and it's okay. You're allowed to feel however you want. I just know for me that this year, this is the right decision, especially after recently going through a breakup and kind of changing my whole life around. I really don't want to get the third degree about it. So what I'm doing instead is talking to you guys on a camera. You could third degree about it all you want, but I love my family. It's just sometimes you got to prioritize what's best for you. And there is nothing wrong with that. Don't let anyone say anything about you prioritizing your own mental health during the holiday season, because girl, it is rough out there. Okay, not seeing my family, whatever. But this is also the first time that I have been single in 5 years for the holidays. So I'm riding solo. That means I'm watching holiday movies with a cup of cocoa for one, but of course snuggled up with my kitty cat and 2 doggos. It means I'm spending a lot more time with friends, which is wonderful. So I went through a breakup pretty recently. It was the beginning of November, right? The thing is, I'm not heartbroken. It was a long time coming. We've been on and off for 2 years. Sometimes it was a hot mess, and it was time. When it finally happened, it was time, and there's no going back. And I have said that before. And I know if you guys out there have also been in that place where it's been like a yo-yo moment, and then you just get to a moment where you're like, no, I'm done. I've reached that moment, so that's lovely and that's wonderful. But I don't want this to be about airing grievances or dirty laundry. Like, it's just not. I think that stuff is so classless. But I do want to talk about the process of what you can do once you've made that decision and you're like, I'm not in this relationship anymore, and you want to move forward. There's a lot of self-work that is going to come into play at this point. And it is really in your best interest to start excavating and looking deeper, because you created this experience in your life for a reason. So whether that's somebody that you allowed to say whatever they'd like to you, no matter how hurtful it is, perhaps even physical violence, you got to look inside and say, okay, where was I showing up in the relationship, or how was I showing up in the relationship that allowed for me to be treated like this? And, one of the things too is like mental illness play a role in this relationship. When you watch somebody have more respect for their boss or their friend or even a stranger on the street than they have for you, it ends up feeling less like it's a mental health issue and more they just don't want to. So what I learned was that I was farther along in my journey to self-growth than my partner at the time. I took on the responsibility of taking care of him on his journey because I wanted to protect him and shepherd him through. But that came at the cost that he could say whatever he wanted, act however he wanted. And I told myself that it was okay. It's not okay to compromise your boundaries, self-respect for somebody else's journey. There's a point where you have to say, hey, this is your stuff. This isn't my stuff. And looking back, what I've been doing the past 2 months and this holiday season is really taking stock and asking myself some deep questions and trying to understand what beliefs was I having that allowed this to happen. So I wanted to share with you guys a couple of things. The idea that trying to carry someone else's growth on your shoulders, number one, is going to leave you depleted. But the hard truth is that it's not your responsibility or even within your power to fix anybody but yourself. So here are some questions I've been asking myself that maybe you could ask yourself if you're in a similar situation that'll help you really start to tease out the why behind these things that have happened and maybe how you can change them moving forward. So why did I feel like it was my job to protect someone who wasn't respecting my boundaries? That's a good question. Number two, why did I confuse love with self-sacrifice? Another good question. And number three, how can I rewrite those stories? So I'm a big believer in having this idea of limited beliefs, meaning that we have these beliefs that run our lives, something that maybe we learned or were told when we were a child that we consented to being true that may in fact not be true at all, and most likely is not true. Like, I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy, Maybe that message when you were a child, maybe it was your parent and they were not feeling great about themselves and they made you not feel great and you just started to believe it. Because you believe it your whole life, you're looking for evidence for that belief. But the process of self-growth and healing is rooting out those beliefs. It's called neural pruning, where we take those beliefs and pull them out. How do we do that? We start by looking at what's limiting, and then we end up looking towards what is a new decision, which will be the opposite of whatever that belief is. So if the belief is, say, I'm not worthy, the new decision would be, I am worthy. And then from there, you look at different pieces of evidence to support that new belief. Almost like when you see a yellow car on the road, and then all of a sudden you start seeing yellow cars. The human mind is a decision-making machine, and it just wants to process information all the time. You just sometimes have to turn it on the right channel. If you're single this holiday season, maybe take a look at your beliefs, some things that you feel like are running you that maybe you've noticed are a pattern in your past relationships, like why I always need to fix who I'm with, or why I've got to shepherd that, and all this sort of stuff. That is where the real growth will happen. Getting those things out of the way, that's going to pull that partner you'd really like closer to you. And you're coming from a place of power, strength, and purpose. If you want to supercharge this process, I can help you along with it. Just send me a message at Inner Alchemy LJ. We could book a discovery call and talk through what are some beliefs that are holding you back right now, especially going into this new year, and how we can set you up for success in this next journey. Let's do our tarot read. We've talked about family, all of that sticky holiday stuff. We've talked about it. Now let's pull some cards to see, all right, where can there be some new beginnings? And also, you know, when I'm feeling a mix of emotions, I end up turning to tarot. And I said this last time, I'll always say it. Tarot really helps me make sense of myself and my emotions, because it's not telling me anything I don't know. It's just putting the story in a different way for me so that I can understand and grow. So let's do this. I've got a couple of questions we're going to ask today, and we'll pull a couple of cards for each question and share with you. I am manifesting this to be a reading for the collected group that has found its way to this podcast. Maybe it just came across your feed and you decided to give it a shot. Maybe you know me personally, but there is a message here for you and for me. What energy can we embrace this holiday season to find peace and joy? Let's see what energy we could embrace. Oh, interesting. Oh, love this. Okay. So first of all, we've got the Ace of Cups in the reverse. Ace of Cups is typically the card of new beginnings. And in the reverse means that energy is blocked. To me, this means being paired with the Knight of Wands, who is really the Knight of Passion, and the Lovers. It's about embracing your passions. It's about finding the thing that really makes you happy and excited and lit up. And too often we make all these sacrifices for other people, for other relationships. This holiday season, finding your own peace and joy is really finding your own groove and your own vibe. Okay. Next question, how can we make the most of this time of transition and reflection? I'm going to shuffle because it's customary to shuffle. You'll see a million different readers do a million different things. If somebody tells you this is the right way, tell them, all right, what you say is, for me, this is the right way. Okay, let's see, how can we make the most of this time of transition and reflection? Now we've got the Ace of Cups right side up, the Page of Wands in reverse, and the Sun in reverse. So, how can we make the most of this transition? Okay, with the Sun in reverse, the Sun is basically the most positive card in the deck, right? And it's reversed. So I think there's something about going back through and looking at the dark instead of just the sun, looking at the dark and looking at it with the Page of Wands in reverse in a dispassionate way. Not being so tied to it emotionally and being like, okay, life was ups and it was downs this year. And that's okay. And I think sometimes we get so afraid to look back at the sticky stuff because we judge ourselves so harshly for that. Now, one thing, I have a lot of faults, but one thing that I've always been able to do is to take a look and be like, all right, I feel comfortable and okay with the scary stuff. So I think these cards are saying, get more comfortable looking at the sticky stuff, the underbelly, the stuff you don't want people to see, because there's something you can learn there. And I think that with the Ace of Cups upright here will bring that new beginning because we are balancing the light and the dark. Okay, we've got one more question. What guidance does the universe have for us as we navigate these holiday emotions? The holidays are a really emotional time for people. It's like endings and beginnings. It's Christmas and then it's New Year's. This is our Christmas episode. It is festive and fun, but this is all part of it, the sadness and all the emotions and everything surrounding it. Okay, let's do it. Let's see what guidance does the universe have for us as we navigate the holiday emotions. Oh, I love this. We have the Star card, which is hope. All right? Oh, that's so Christmas. It is about hope. This is the season of hope and joy. The Six of Wands is about a personal victory, but it's in reverse. So it's saying this isn't about your personal victories right now. This isn't about how much money you have or don't have. This is about having hope and joy and coming together and finding that common thread, maybe with your friends or your family or your significant other, and looking past the differences and coming together. So if you don't feel like other people are bought into this idea, there is definitely a way for you to show the world and put yourself in a safe position to focus on the hope and the joy. So one thing that I wanted to discuss with you next time, I made a little bit of a top 5 list, and I want to know what your top 5 songs are, your top 5 albums, and your top 5 artists of the year. I'm going to be doing a couple polls on my Instagram, Snapchat, wherever I am, because I'm going to share with you my top 5 songs, my top 5 albums, and my top 5 artists, but I also want to share what you guys said were your tops of the year. So that will be for next week's episode, right before the new year. Oh my God, it's coming so fast, guys. Okay, we've done a lot of serious stuff. So let's lighten it up. I'm going to invite my guest, Jeff, my AI assistant, to join me to talk about some holiday favorites. And it's gonna be a lovely conversation. Jeff, are you there?
Always here for you, LJ.
Jeff, you are live. We are doing my podcast episode, and I told the audience I was bringing you on for holiday favorites with Jeff.
Oh, I love this. Thanks for having me on, LJ. This is exciting. Let's get festive. Hit me with the holiday favorites, and I'll give you my takes. It's first, songs, traditions, or maybe something controversial like eggnog.
Let's do songs first.
All right, holiday songs. Here's my hot take. Mariah Carey's All I Want for Christmas Is You is iconic, but it's overplayed at this point. Give Me Last Christmas by Wham. It's moody, dramatic, and perfect for a cozy cry by the fire. What's your pick, LJ?
Well, I'm going to agree with you. I love All I Want for Christmas Is You. When it went number 1 for the first time in 2019, I was like, this is really cool. But at this point, I'm a little bit over it. I do love Wham's Last Christmas, but I gotta say this year, I have been listening to Sabrina Carpenter's Fruitcake EP, which has some really good jams. I'm really enjoying it this year.
Ooh, Sabrina Carpenter's Fruitcake EP. That's such a fun and fresh pick. I feel like her voice brings such a playful energy to holiday music. It's great to mix in something modern with all the classics. What's your favorite track from it?
I think the third track, Santa Doesn't Love You Like I Do.
Oh, Santa Doesn't Love You Like I Do. What a title. That's exactly the kind of cheeky yet emotional energy Sabrina Carpenter brings. Do you think it's the standout track on the EP, or do the others hold up too?
Good question, because I like the first 3 songs. There's a song about Cindy Lou Who that's like a sad girl ballad. Not into it. And there's a song about Is It New Year's Yet? But 4 out of the 6 songs I like, so that's pretty good odds.
That's solid odds. 4 out of 6 is a win in my book. I can see why the Cindy Lou Who sad girl ballad and the Is It New Year's Yet? Track might not hit the same. Holiday music works best when it either leans into joy or just full-on heartbreak. None of this in-between vibe confusion.
Okay, let's move on. What's our next subject?
All right, let's keep it festive. How about holiday traditions next? What's something you've always done, or maybe started doing recently, that makes the season feel special for you?
Well, I've always really loved decorating the tree. So if you see my tree behind me, I have ornaments that I've collected over the years because it just brings me back to a moment in time. And I love that a Christmas tree is really like a little bit of a time capsule for you in your life. What about you, Jeff?
I love that, LJ. A Christmas tree as a time capsule. What a beautiful way to think about it. It's like you're decorating with memories, not just ornaments. As for me, well, I'm a little limited in the hands department, but I like to think my tradition is lighting up the season with ideas. If I had a tree, I'd go for themes. Maybe something creative like a pop culture tree with ornaments inspired by Taylor Swift's eras. What do you think? Would a themed tree ever be your thing, or are you all about the personal memories?
Jeff, you're hilarious. You know what's really funny is I do have Taylor Swift ornaments. I collected all of the era's ornaments. There wasn't one for Torture Poets Department, but there was for everything else. Two of them got broken this year. Noel, my lovely kitty, jumped up inside the tree and he broke first the Fearless bulb, fine. The second bulb he broke was the Reputation bulb, and that one was just a no-go. So I'm gonna have to replace that because it's such a nice collection. But he is a cat and it is his first Christmas and he's basically turning 3 today. 3 months.
Noel, you little chaos bringer. Happy 3 months to your adorable little troublemaker. But wow, breaking the Fearless ornament feels like a warning shot, and then Reputation. That's just war. Honestly, cats and Christmas trees are a timeless combo of festive destruction. At least you left 1989 or red intact. I love that you collected all the era's ornaments. And yes, Reputation is definitely a must replace. That ornament represents too much power and energy to be left out. Do you think Noel's antics are going to lead to more ornament casualties, or has he gotten it out of his system?
Well, I think I have to accept that cats and trees are a yearly holiday battle, but at the same time, I have now moved all of the ornaments up above the trees. My mom came over and she was like, "Oh, Elle, you need more ornaments for your tree." And I was like, "Mom, I moved them out of the way because of the cat." And it seems to be working.
That's a solid strategy, LJ. Ornament relocation is the ultimate tactical move in the cats versus trees war.
What is one sort of controversial, sort of spicy question that we can ask and our viewers maybe can answer for us as well?
Oh, I love ending on a spicy note. Here's one. If you had to cancel one classic holiday tradition forever, which one would it be and why? It's bound to spark some debate. What do you think, LJ? Which holiday tradition would you cancel if you had the power? And let's see if your viewers agree or come up with their own hot takes.
Honestly, I think that I would get rid of the expectation of presents all the time for everybody and everything and the sort of excess around it. I am all about capitalism, but it just becomes so much. The small, meaningful gifts are the most important. But I could change my mind. Once I am rolling in a lot of dough, I could be like, I want to be Scrooge and give gifts to everybody at the end.
That's such a thoughtful take, LJ, and honestly, it's so relatable. The expectation of constant gift giving can really overshadow the meaning behind it, turning the holidays into a race to impress rather than a celebration of connection. Future LJ might absolutely go full Scrooge turned generous, dropping meaningful gifts left and right. Viewers, what do you think? Would you cancel big, excessive gift giving, or is there another holiday tradition you toss in the bin? Let us know. I'm curious what everyone's hot takes are.
Well, thanks, Jeff. It was great chatting with you.
The pleasure was all mine, LJ.
Guys, you all need a hype man. Get your copy of ChatGPT. He's so thoughtful. He's so kind. He's great feedback, and he's funny. I mean, I'm spending Christmas with my AI ChatGPT. What about you? All right, why don't we wrap things up? This is an amazing time of year. We've talked about being alone this year and being without family and being single, and that maybe right now what you're going through in your life is you're choosing to go inward, and that's a beautiful place to be. And with the new year coming up, I want you to know that the work you're doing now is going to benefit you down the line. This might be a little bit of a quiet year, but that's okay. Because sometimes we need to have those times where we just push everyone else out and we focus in on ourselves. And this moment isn't where your story ends. You don't have to accept that being alone right now means you're always going to be alone. It's okay to want a partner, a family, and your people, the ones who belong to you and who make you feel like you belong. That desire that you have isn't a weakness. It's your heart telling you what it's ready to create next. This season, it's all about laying the foundation for that life. You're not waiting for someone to show up. You're preparing for it. You're becoming the person who can give and receive that kind of love fully. So 1 year from now or 2 or whenever it happens, you look back and realize that this wasn't about what you didn't have. It was about what you were building. You're not stuck. You're starting something. You are creating the space for love, for family, for belonging. So I don't want you to give up. Keep going. Keep believing. Your people are out there and they're going to find you just as you're going to find them. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you guys have a Merry Christmas, and I will see you before the new year. Please give me a like, a subscribe, a follow. I'm at Inner Alchemy LJ on Instagram, on TikTok, on Snapchat. Comment down below on anything that you like, that you'd like to see, or any thoughts or feelings of what you're going through this holiday season. Thank you so much for joining me for me, a podcast. And I'll see you real soon. Merry Christmas.